This is One on One. Sorry for pointing. Hey, that's Pete Dominick. He's back. That's right. He's a comedian. He's talented. He's smart. He knows politics. You can check him out. Stand Up with Pete Dominick every day, 9 to 12, SiriusXM. How you doing?
It's great to see you. We've become good friends. We have this charisma, this mutual respect, this like for each other.
Like, that's legit.
It is. It really is. You come on the radio show. We really get along. We learn from each other. We bust each other's chops. You look great, by the way. You look so handsome as always.
I appreciate that. You look great, too. You had a little impingement, but I'm going to leave it.
Yeah, I have a neck thing. I'm 43 now. I'm starting to feel things happening, but maybe for another conversation.
Trust me.
We should host that show. Men and their impingements as they age.
I tell you about my hip, but it's not about that. It's not about my hip. It's not about your impingement. It's about, Pete, where are we?
Yeah.
Small question. Where are we today in terms of our ability just to have a civil conversation with people that we may disagree with politically? My friends, I know you still watch us on public broadcasting.
Yeah.
Half of them I can't even talk to.
Yeah.
It's not that they like the president. It's that if you question something the president says or does, that's not even political, but mean-spirited, call someone a name, misogynist, they're like, hey, we're doing well.
Right.
And I'm thinking, can we even talk?
Well, there's so many different perspectives for answers on that question. I suppose it depends who you are in terms of how much.
How about if I actually like some of these people and I don't want to lose them as friends? You say?
Right. It's difficult because at this point things become so personal. These issues become so personal. And like you said, a lot of people, they're like, I'm doing well. My family's doing okay. I'm the type of person that while I may think those things, I'm thinking about a whole bunch of other people who I might not know. Well, I'm not trying to be some noble elitist.
No,
but
but you give a damn.
I think I do. I care a lot about
You see people in a so-called caravan, people trying to get away from a country they were in. God knows what they were facing. We don't know everyone there, but the reality is there's a part of you, the part of me, doesn't make us better than anyone else. It's like, look at those babies.
Listen, you know what?
Look at those kids.
I would not travel 100 miles in flip-flops for my kids. I wouldn't do it. I don't care enough about them. I'm joking, obviously, but I'm not in that situation. Wouldn't every parent out there do whatever it takes to put their kids in a better situation, especially if they lived in a really violent country, an impoverished nation? And so this has always been a nation that has accepted and welcomed refugees despite the times when we haven't.
Let's not check the Statue of Liberty.
Exactly. We're not perfect, but all of us have come from somewhere else. That's supposed to be, I thought, what makes America great. And I welcome that. I want those people living next door to me. I want to learn from them. I want their culture. We're different. Things have changed. And I think a lot of that has to do with our media, Steve. I think the idea,
us?
Us. I wouldn't blame politicians and government nearly as much as I would blame media.
Make the case. Make the case.
Well, the idea that ratings are what makes money. And to get ratings, the best way to get ratings on radio and TV especially is to divide people, to have a strong opinion and blame the other side and make it two sides. Guess what? There aren't two sides to every issue.
How many sides are there?
There could be multiple sides, or there can be one side to things like science, like vaccines and climate science. We don't need to debate those. We need to debate the solutions, not the problems. And so media really has divided us, in my opinion, and I think there's a better way to do what you and I do, to get along, to have a nuanced, thoughtful conversation.
Even when we disagree with each other.
Absolutely.
But
you
I
and
don't
I
have
disagree.
to call a lot.
Yeah.
I can't. But what's the deal with me calling you a name? We don't do that. Again, I don't want to make it about Pete or the way I do what we do. I don't get the name calling.
I thought that was something that we did as children and that I do as a comedian on a comedy stage, maybe.
Yes.
But really, I didn't think that adults, I thought there was a baseline. That's part of the problem. I thought we agreed that we don't bully, that we don't name call when we're adults, that we teach our kids not to do that. If there's a kid with some kind of mental issue or physical issue, we teach our kids to welcome that child, to try to understand and welcome diversity, not to make fun and poke fun and
mock a
isolate
woman's
that kid.
appearance or her weight or
immutable characteristics I teach my daughters. If you didn't choose to be a woman, you didn't choose to be this color, we didn't choose to age and have impingements, right? These are mutable characteristics. We don't go after those. You chose this job. Okay, let's criticize the job.
performance.
Right, exactly. And
Why is that such a...
Because it gets ratings, because it gets
I feel like we're in a
people
choir
fired up.
here just talking to each other.
Well, maybe, but we are, I think we're a lot of the problem in terms of categories. We white guys of a certain age, of a certain privilege, I know a lot of people roll their eyes at that phrase, but it's hard to deny.
What are we supposed to do with it?
We are supposed to do with our privilege is open doors for people who didn't have it. Not open door for another guy just like me who's winning. Open the door for somebody else at our work. Offer an internship to this person from this category of life who hasn't had the advantages and the opportunities, who's been historically discriminated against. Help those people. Because of what we have, what we've gained, we should be able to give that to the next person. Pay it forward, Steve.
I hear you, Pete, and I believe it very much. But for a significant number of folks who fall into the category you just described,
Sure.
there's not a whole lot of interaction with those who are not, quote unquote, like them. So where would they even have the opportunity to do that unless you sought out the opportunity to be helpful to someone else outside of your neighborhood, outside of your community, outside of your circle, whatever that means?
No, it's a great point. We self-segregate, and it's not just
I'm
like
in suburban New Jersey.
Right.
What
it's not-
diverse are we talking about?
Well, I hear you, but it's not just, the obvious black, white,
No.
or religions.
It's class,
or
it's a lot of stuff,
religions,
right.
or it's class has a tremendous amount to do with it. But I don't know how to instill curiosity and open-mindedness. My parents did that with me, but I grew up in a
Same here.
really where everybody was the same in upstate New York. But I moved to New York City because I was curious about other languages, other cultures, other religions, and certainly other food and music and art. But that's not something you instill. You can't force people to do that. But I try to offer your kids as much as you can in terms of an experience and in terms of trying to create open-mindedness, and you hope that it sticks and that they keep wanting to pursue that.
Tweak this a little bit. The Me Too movement,
Yeah.
a fair number of men, you know who you are saying that one of the offshoots of the Me Too movement is that, you know what? You can, the president said it himself, you could be accused of something you didn't do. It's just someone accuses you. You lose your career in a second.
Yeah.
And it's not fair, and the pendulum has swung too far, quote unquote, the other way, you say?
I say that's absolute nonsense. Are there examples of it? Yes, there are. The idea that there's a him too movement, it really is nonsensical when given the stats. As a matter of fact, the stats about sexual assault, domestic abuse, rape are way higher than what is reported because most women don't even report these. So we know the few examples, aberrations, where a man has been accused of something that he didn't do. And yes, his life was destroyed. And that is terrible, Steve. It's absolutely wrong.
And we need to check against that, but that's a diversion, a distraction from the much larger
right. Which is
issue that's been going on forever.
Of course it's been going on forever. It's founded in religion. All of our religious texts are patriarchal. Our country, most societies are as well. But what I've been talking about when it comes to this issue, and I've been working on this issue for a long time, and by working on it, I mean learning about it. So what I've been
challenging yourself, by the way.
Yeah, well, sure.
On your show, when I've been with you, you've challenged yourself, the things that you have said about women, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, I've said some of those same things.
Yeah.
You're challenging of yourself, but of your audience. Therefore,
course.
what's the goal there with the men who are listening?
To offer women the empowerment that they've always deserved, the opportunities that they've always deserved, to learn a new way of thinking, a new way of talking, to not create the situations that we live in, the paradigms that we live in, that women have been dealing with for forever in this country and everywhere else, frankly. Some places have more gender equity than others, but now what my message is for men to listen. When all this is unfolded, and we've heard more, especially during the confirmation hearing for Brett Kavanaugh, this conversation that happened, I asked my wife. I knew some things that had happened in her past, but I went back and I asked her, is there anything you never told me? And Steve, she did. She told me of a horrific incident that I never knew about. A coworker, a young woman who I just hired, told me about how she lost her virginity to a rape, Steve. And what's important is that we listen. It's not, people say and believe them, of course, but that we listen. Stop explaining to them how it's supposed to be and start listening to them about how it actually is, the reality of what it is like to be a woman, what it is like to be a person of color. We need to listen, and that's really hard for a lot of us to do, and that's why I'm done talking right now about it.
But as I listen to you right now, it always comes back to this for me with you. With your passion, your conviction, the degree to which you care, not just about your own family and your own financial well-being, but about others. The comedy. How the heck do you find the ability to incorporate comedy into a world you just described that could, for some, go, wow, this is depressing. Where's the comedy?
The comedy is actually thrives the most in communities that are the most discriminated against. There's a lot of research and scholarship on this: Holocaust victims, slaves, black folks now, and Jewish folks now. Anybody who's discriminately, been historically discriminated against. And you look at the comedy landscape over the years, you see a lot of famous, successful Jewish comics, black comics, and increasingly women comics. But the bottom line is, comedy is so important and so relevant. It's in the conversation, speaking truth to power, doing what traditional mainstream journalists can't do. I came up on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart.
That's right.
I worked there. I worked at the Colbert Report, and I created this radio show that is trying to do something similar to that, to fight apathy, to get people interested in issues that they otherwise might not have been in the past, by trying to be at least a little bit entertaining, poking fun at what's going on, poking fun at power, and certainly self-deprecating, poking fun at myself.
You always do.
Yeah.
And the time I have left, is it a high priority for you, Pete, in 2020, given everything you said, to be actively involved in using your platform at SiriusXM? By the way, 9 a.m. to 12 noon, listen every day. Is it a priority for you to change the person who is in the White House?
A priority for me to change the person who
Have influence on what happens in 2020 in that regard?
Yeah, I think so, but I don't think that I have that power. I don't think about that much. My priority is to create a conversation, to welcome people from all backgrounds, from all educations, and have a conversation that they can understand, that they can contribute to, and that they can come away from a better person, a more well-rounded individual. That's the priority.
First rule of broadcasting, don't ask a complex question with 25 seconds left.
I did
Thank you,
okay,
my
though.
friend.
I nailed it. I nailed it. Did I nail
You
it?
saw my body language.
I know the
thank you,
game.
Pete.
Good to see you, buddy.
One-on-One with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation, celebrating over 25 years of broadcast excellence. This special edition of One-on-One with Steve Adubato is brought to you from the Tisch WNET studios at Lincoln Center. Funding has been provided by Rowan University, Atlantic Health System, New Jersey Sharing Network, Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey, Keystone Mountain Lakes Regional Council of Carpenters, New Jersey Resources, and by Wells Fargo. Transportation provided by Airbrook Limousine, serving the metropolitan New York, New Jersey area.